So yesterday, I took the Indian out for the first time in 2024. You can see it's a little dusty because I used it in the services for my buddy Phil, which I've already told you about on this channel. The bike performed flawlessly. And it's such a gorgeous day. Of course, I made the mistake of going on the lawn. And it's a little bit slick. There we go. Yeah, so as I was saying, buried my friend Phil Miles yesterday, and the funeral was sad but epic. I'll show you a little bit of the procession here. And then that's the last time we will grieve for Phil Miles. He's no longer with us. And he's in his reward, hopefully, in God's kingdom. At least that's my belief. And I'm glad that he's in peace. We're going to take a little ride, non-stressful ride, because it's such a beautiful day. And I had promised you a few weeks ago that I was going to take you to a little place called Maggie Valley in North Carolina, the Wheels Through Time Museum. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So if you're interested in that, then just saddle up and let's ride. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, please. Thank you. All you born-free bikers, we're here at the Wheels Through Time Museum in North Carolina. Fortunate enough to meet Bob. So Bob's going to introduce himself to you, and he's going to tell you a little bit about what he does here and what the museum's all about. Thanks for your time, by the way, Bob.
Riff, it's a pleasure. Bob White's the handle. I had the great good luck to meet Dale shortly before he opened Wheels Through Time, and we became fast friends pretty quickly over a love for all things motorcycling and antique, and particularly his mission to present all this stuff that he had collected for 50 years to the public was something that really rung my bell. I was a professional historian, and so coming here to Wheels Through Time was like walking into a living classroom, not just because of what lives here, but everybody that walks through the front door has a story. And the only instruction I ever got from Dale about how to act or what to do on the floor of the museum was A, welcome people that came in the museum like they were coming across your threshold in your house. Say hello in a sincere way, and then point out a couple of things that they may not have ever seen before, and then shut up and listen. I'm serious. People have brought life stories in here that are absolutely priceless, and the great benefit of that for me as somebody that's working this floor, a lot of those stories are just so memorable that I get to retell them to other people that come in, and then that sets off another whole chain of events, and it'll wind up being a give and take of people telling life stories about their involvement with this whole great business of transportation, moving around on two wheels,
Right.
looking into the wind and hearing music while you ride across this country. It's great stuff.
Well, you know, here on Born Free Biker, we call it slaying the wind. We go out
That's-
and slay the wind.
Yes, yes, yes. And it's a perfect metaphor.
Yeah.
I mean, some people talk about being in nature as opposed to being wrapped up in an automobile and going through nature. Other people come in and talk, and this really rings my bell. I play a little bit of music as well, and I hear music. Everything from symphonies to country music songs come through my mind. And the notion of leaving in the morning and not knowing exactly or precisely where you're going to end up and what kind of adventure you're going to meet.
Right.
And then the heart of it all, and you and I, Rip, talked about this a little bit, the astonishing thing is to stop, take yourself off the sickle and either gas up or stop and have a bite to eat. And invariably somebody will approach you to start talking about what it is, this business, this ride, this notion of independence. And, you know, occasionally you meet somebody who's just got an attitude, but mostly 95% of the time, you meet incredible people who have unbelievable stories to tell. So Dale's comment to me about shutting up and listening after the first, I mean, that works.
Right.
It works for me. And
Absolutely.
it works for the museum as well.
Yeah. So what was Dale's mission here, do you think?
Dale, people ask how the museum happened, and the answer is a one-word response that's not a toss-off. Focus. When he was 15, he built a chopper, trike, and he found what he loved.
Nice.
And he never let go of the dream about building the next machine. And one thing led to another. 50 years passed, and now there are 375 machines on the floor. I don't know, 500,000 pieces of memorabilia and associated ephemera, the stuff of motorcycling. Everything from, we just came back from a meetup in Wauseon, and we're just tickled as can be. We found a set of original good condition Rhino bags that Harley only made in 30
I know them. Yeah.
Priceless, never found.
Wow.
And yet there they were. And
Yeah.
so they're here and everybody can see.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's
Wow.
really wonderful. His mission was to put this collection of stuff before the good people that he'd been meeting as being in the motorcycle business and a rider.
Well, he certainly accomplished that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, Bob,
Come
thank
see us.
Yeah, thank you for your time. Born Free Bikers, come to see Bob. And plus, everybody else in here, they're awesome.
There's a great gang.
Yeah.
All right.
Enjoy yourself. And of course, what you'll see is, on the induction process,
How you guys doing today?
Good. Good, how are you?
Where are you from?
I'm from Virginia.
Mind if I have you on GoPro?
Go ahead, man.
Good. What's your name?
My name's Jake.
Jake.
Tour guide here
Rip.
at the museum. Nice to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you.
Rip.
Eric.
Eric, nice to meet you. If you guys see anything you want to know a little bit more about while you're walking around today, you let us know. We'll tell you more than you want to know about anything in here.
Huh?
get from the explosion, punching the piston down, and of course what you'll see is as these slots appear at the bottom of the exhaust stroke, or the bottom of the power stroke, you will see exhaust gases escaping. And these exhaust gases are coming out as flames, and the next stroke up will be the exhaust
So
stroke.
we'll check that out.
Oh my God. Oh my word. A 42 Harley with a boxer motor. I didn't even know they existed. That could be my R18 right there.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Wow.
We'll fire it up and tell you a little bit more about it in a second. This one right here, this is the 7th one of those 1,000 made. So go ahead and see if we can get it to make some noise. It's a one-kick bike.
That's really cool. Damn. ...1941 boxer. Still running.
So during World War II, they made almost 100,000 of a bike called the WLA.
Right.
WLA, like a military version of that gray bike over there. You saw one when you came in the door.
Right.
And the thing about it, that bike went everywhere the American military did. The Navy had some, the Army had some. Any branch of the armed services would have had one. Now, at the beginning of World War II, we were in North Africa, not quite yet in Europe. And so when we went to North Africa, that's where they discovered the problem with these bikes, because the jobs they had them doing were courier duty or escorting columns of troops and tanks. That second one is the problem, because everybody knows the Harley-Davidson, the V-twin engine, that back cylinder runs hotter than the front. It's not a problem so long as you keep moving, but at a tank's pace or a troop's pace in the Sahara Desert, it was a big enough problem that the back cylinder was prone to seizing on those things. So the government realized if we're going to run bikes in North Africa, we got to have something specialized. So they requested 1,000 bikes from Harley, 1,000 bikes from Indian. They said it's got to be opposed cylinder, shaft drive, hand clutch, foot shift, rear suspension, and have a big oil bath air filter. Now that was a tall order. Harley and Indian, they'd never made a bike like that before, and they went at it with two different approaches. Indian's idea was that they would build a 90-degree Moto Guzzi style V-twin because they knew how to make V-twins. And they did that because they also didn't want to do a lot of different parts manufacturing. So they didn't want to retool the whole, like half the factory to make 1,000 motorcycles. But they also didn't mind doing the R&D. Harley, they didn't want to do the R&D, but they didn't mind retooling part of the factory. So they decided, well, how do you get away with no R&D, but actually retooling factory? You rip somebody off. Yeah. So they directly copied the 1938 BMW R71. So the chassis is a copy, the engine is a pretty effective copy, the trans, the shaft, the rear suspension, all of that is copycatted straight from BMW.
Now I have an R18, and that drive shaft's almost identical to it.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy.
And of course it's patent infringement, but it's patent infringement against the Nazis.
That's right, it's against your enemy.
Here.
That's right.
And then the funny thing is, by the time they got all 1,000 of these done, there was no more war in North Africa. So almost all of them ended up as surplus. Now they sent a few of them to around Fort Knox, where they were teaching the motorcycle, the mounted officers, how to ride. And they taught them how to ride hand clutch foot shift bikes, the German control layout, with these machines. But beyond those few hundred they sent over there, about 150, 200 to do that, all of them got surplused out. So at the end of the war, you could go pick this up. You know, the government, they paid 880 bucks per bike. You and I, we could go buy this bike for like $300 after the war. Hand paint it, add a little bit of chrome, some skirted civilian fenders. You look right there, you can see painted right over the green paint.
Absolutely. Wow.
So this is the 7th one made of a Harley XA, stands for Experimental Army. They made 1,011 of them. 1942 only.
Cool information.
Wow. 1919 to 23, I believe they ran these. It's about a 700cc forward to backward opposed cylinder. It was supposed to be an entry-level bike, you know, easy to ride. But the problem was it was pretty expensive for an entry-level bike. You know, it's all got its own parts. It's got its own gas tank, it's got its own frame, it's got its own front end. There are no real shared parts between the Harley JD and the Harley Sport, which is what they would have been. That would have been the big bike back then. And it was only about $40 more. Now that was a lot back then.
Yeah.
Not enough to where it was like, well, I'll go with that one because it's cheaper.
Yep.
So they were kind of a flop, and most Americans liked the V-twin. And if you want to talk about the rear cylinder overheating, that one definitely overheats. Started doing that style of cutout tank in 1925.
It's so great that these bikes still exist, you know?
Oh yeah, we keep them all running.
Right. Every single one of them?
Everything runs, we keep gassing about 10 at a time. Kind of rotating through which 10 on any given day we're starting up.
Wow.
Just jump over the
Yeah.
Mock-up of an old school bike garage. Check it out. Look at that sweet panhead. I can't adequately describe for you guys the sweet smell in here. If you're a gearhead or you're a person that likes to turn wrenches and you've been working on stuff all your life, you know what that smell is. come in here, come experience it yourself, because it's phenomenal. It permeates the whole place. Well, all you born-free bikers and you steel horse cowboys, I hope you enjoyed this revisit to the Wheels Through Time Museum. You really should treat yourself to a visit. But if you do, make sure that you give yourself plenty of time. Preferably even a couple of days so you can see everything. There's plenty to do in this area. But Eric and I, we have to go now. We've got a lot of miles to cover still. More adventures to share with you. So, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We'll see you in the next one.